What's up, Brave here. Today we got the plus 12 CINDERBREW metery. Kinda a difficult key, kinda need your DPS to pump on this one. But overall, not a hard key. This first pull I pulled half of the right side of the room in the CINDERBREW here. This is to avoid chewy. If you start on the left side, it's possible that some of your DPS clip chewy because he paths to the left first and then he comes to the right second. So the way I like to do it here is you get to the right, you grab half the room. It's a pretty dangerous pull, you'll need a lust, make sure you're using defensives as a tank. You're going to need to watch the yellow circles on the floor, not to get hit by those, because if you get hit by those you'll be disoriented and then all the mobs will kill your DPS. And the other thing you need to be looking out for here is the mean mug debuff stacks. I think most tanks can do around 8 before it gets dangerous. But if it goes any higher, it's really risky. Here we get Chewy alone. Big Chef Chewy is a dangerous mob. He buffs all the other mobs by 15%. Makes them do significantly more damage. So, if you can, I like to try and pull Chewy by himself until he's about the same health as the other mobs, and then I try and time it to where he's going to cap high stakes as I pull the other mobs. So, I don't think I do it in this key here specifically, but that's what I've been doing in higher keys, and then I add more mobs to the pack. That way you can get some passive cleave. Here you grab the second half of the first room here and then clean her up, and then we go to boss. Again, it's the same pull for tanks, you just want to watch your mean bug stacks. Obviously you want to get the interrupts out. Healers can dispel the circle, I think. And then this one's an easier pull than the other half. With this boss here, I like to pull him to the back of the room. I grab the little extra adds for some pad damage. But other than that, there's not much for you to do as tank. You just keep him out of the poop on the ground, and then you just kite him back to the back of the room. Easy peasy fight. Here we go to the next room on the way to IPA. I grab those little guys. If you want to be big gamers, you can skip the first pack with Mind Soothe, but realistically you're probably going to have deaths and pugs, so skipping things with Mind Soothe isn't ideal in this dungeon. Here we do a Mind Soothe skip. Technically you can, if you're really careful, you can jump on the little steps and just hop over it. Here I like to do a double. DPS want to be looking to interrupt the free sample kicks in all these packs as they do high single target damage along with the channel beam. Other than that, it's just making sure you charge the big guys into something that's not another pack. Once we get this pack down, I'm going to pull this 5-pack of taste testers back. If you have a really coordinated group, you can pull the taste testers into something else, but I find that this is probably the easiest and most efficient way to pull taste testers. They're a really dangerous pack because they're all going to do free samples, which if you don't have the interrupts for, you can lose players, especially in higher keys. So I find just doing taste testers along with maybe the last of the big guys is an easy enough pull. This next pull, it's an easy double as long as you group them together pretty early on, and it's not too hard of a double here. All these packs are all the same. You want to make sure you interrupt the free samples and stop the channel boiling things, and then you want to run the reckless driving into a wall that's not attached to any other mobs. As a tankless expansion, I'm always looking to add more mobs into my pulls for extra cleave. The Hobgoblin really isn't a scary mob, so I grabbed him and I'm just going to start DPSing him down since he has more health. I got the reckless delivery, so it's ideal. I'm going to avoid the charge, get AoE on the drops, and then continue on with the pull. Once I see he's turning into drops, I'm going to go ahead and just pull more stuff here. Get everything ready for the other guys to come DPS it down. Again, it's the same thing. Making sure you're stopping the free samples, and on this pole there's a lot of barrels, so DPS needs to kill the barrels. Otherwise you guys will blow up. So for pugs, I always pull the entire first room just to give us enough room to kite this boss around. If you're a really coordinated group, you actually don't need to pull this entire room, but it's still really nice. The extra room in this room makes it to where you really don't need to CC the ads too bad, and you can really get away with like just boss positioning. Boss positioning on this one, I always kite him from where he starts over to this corner in the middle of this room, I reckon, and then I basically rinse and repeat this. You just pull him from here back over to where he starts, and you'll always be able to find a way and wiggle through. You want to be really careful and not tank this boss on a wall, because if he's on a wall where when he starts spawning slimes, he'll spawn slimes right under himself, and it'll just wipe your group instantaneously. Now on the way to the old buzz bee. This room has a lot of bees, so you really gotta be careful about letting them get your back. And then it's a lot of tank damage. I'd say this one can be somewhat of the more scarier sides if you're not really careful. You gotta make sure you're interrupting the honey volleys 100% of the time as well. Big important to interrupt honey volleys. When you're pulling these smaller packs of little bees, your healer needs to make sure he's dispelling you, otherwise they ramp up a dispellable bleed, but it's a magic effect, and it'll kill you really quickly in hierarchies. Again, it's all the same pulls, using defensives while you're gathering, kicking honey volleys. Ranged DPS should be interrupting the bestial wraths, that way the mob will walk into the tank, and then essentially it's just rinse and repeat. This pull's a little bit wonky. I wouldn't do it like this if I had timed hierarchies. I wouldn't do this again. What I like to do on this neck, like this pull, is you don't pull them back into this rune. You finish off the last pull, and then you take the two random bee spawns into the next pull. Just make sure you use a defensive, because you're going to get hit in the back. For this part here, you just jump over this wall. You can skip a pack. What you want to make sure you do is you have all your if you have any pets, you gotta get them dismissed before you jump over. Super important. There's a lot of little bees here, so you need to watch your stacks and use defensives appropriately. Real easy to get a whole bunch of stacks of these little bees and just fall over and die. Super dangerous at the start of this, pulling two of these little bee packs. With the boss, you need to make sure your healer's ready to dispel you, and you can use defensives for it. So for this boss, I'm always trying to pull the boss to where the two barrels spawn. There's normally two barrels that'll spawn close together. I'll actually aggro those two adds and then taunt the far one, so that way none of my DPS are getting hit. As a tank, I find it really easy to do the barrels when he's doing the winds. There's not any damage going to the tank when he's doing the winds, and so it gives you a perfect opportunity to do the barrels as a tank. Here we are on the final stretch. You want to target one of these, focus one of them down. Now if you have a priest in the group, what you can do is you can mind control the first ad when he's really low, like probably right now you'd mind control him, and then he wouldn't heal, and you'd kill the second ad. Then you'd unmind control him, and then you'd kill the first ad, and you'd have two of them really quickly without him healing very much. Fail this key as if we die to barrels. Yep, don't touch any of the barrels. I'll do the back ones first and then the back of the room safe. Here for Goldie, the last boss in the dungeon. The cash cannon will explode any barrel it hits, and so what the tank wants to do is explode the barrels behind the table first. It'll clear out the area for all the ranged DPS and your healer to just go AFK in. And then none of the DPS are going to touch any of the barrels. Tank's going to do every one of them. If the DPS overlap the barrels, basically what it ends up doing is making weird timing for more balls to come out. And you end up having to dodge, and like, it just makes it weird. You can see here one of my DPS did it. And there's a weird overlap where you don't need to have any of that overlap going on. So as a tank, you always want to do the barrel behind the table, then you want to do a 2-pack, 2 pops of one of those big barrels, and then finally you want to do one before the intermission phase. You just rinse and repeat that forever. Again, DPS do not want to touch any healer tube. No one besides the tank should pop barrels. The tank can do every one of them. And that makes it smooth and clean. Because the way it works is these burning, these debuffs come out to where you can pop the barrels at weird random times. And it adds a weird overlap to where like lots of meatballs everywhere to dodge. You don't want to do that. You don't need to do it. You lose uptime on boss, you lose a whole bunch of stuff. And you don't gain anything, you just make it more chaotic for your team. That was the old plus 12 CINDERBREW easy key. If you guys liked the video, please leave a comment, let me know what you liked. If you have questions, you can join me on my Discord, or I stream on Twitch every day. I'm live on Twitch. Feel free to come hang out there. Until next time, Odin's Chosen, take it easy.